Hi everyone, I am your host, Lena Eunice, and welcome back to the Frame of Mind podcast, a podcast designed for individuals who are willing to reach their high potential selves, open to wisdom and knowledge, and all talk self-improvement, mental health, and mindset growth. My goal is to share messages that will help you, motivate you, and empower you as you navigate your life, with the hope that each episode will bring you closer to the success and fulfillment that you deserve. So with that said, let's dive into this week's podcast episode. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Frame of Mind podcast. I miss y'all so much. There has been so much on my plate that I was not able to record a podcast episode, but today I decided to come and step a foot forward and introduce to y'all a topic that has been in my mind currently, especially in the pursuit of college. Now, I'm so beyond excited that you guys have stayed through this season. I'm glad that y'all have stayed still supportive, which I am so honored and grateful to have y'all right there next to me. As you could see, I switched back into the normal backdrop, with the wall and everything, but not just that, there's something different, which now I am a brunette. Don't play, because there's so much going on in May. I don't think I'm gonna post anything on May because there's so much. I'm graduating in 1 month, and to be honest, I'm just so grateful. Another thing that you might as well see is a new microphone, a podcast microphone. Well, I had a podcast microphone, but this one is like a pod mic. So it's completely different. You might hear the audio being a little bit more crispier, but you also might hear some little thumps because this girl is moving her hands a lot. So whatever the case might be, if you're listening through Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you give this show a rating, 5 stars. And if you're watching in YouTube, make sure you subscribe and like and share to any individual who needs to hear this message. Now, I'm so beyond excited that I'm coming on here to introduce to y'all something that has been occurring lately. Like everyone's dreams and goals right now is to have a better future for themselves. Originally, I was going to talk about goals and dreams. I feel like anyone could tell you about dreams and goals, how to navigate a life. But to be honest, I just wanted to talk about how generational curses end with you. Technically, we're just going to get into a deep dive talk about it. I'm so beyond excited for this podcast episode because I know I've been called to break generational curses, but not just called to break generational curses, but I know a lot of my friends out there that are called but don't live according to the calling that they're being called for. Now, today, it's a very deep dive, so I want you to get a journal, a pen, or something for you to take notes. Now, I did take some notes, some bullet points, but to be honest, it's kind of straightforward. But as I mentioned in the intro, this is a way to empower you. It's a way to motivate you and guide you into a life that you're gonna walk into. Nothing else to say. Grab your pencil, grab paper, do whatever you need to do, lay in bed or whatever. Take a listen because this might be a very deep talk episode. Let me give y'all a scenario to where this fits, okay? As I mentioned, culturally in the Hispanic culture, we are educated to pursue a higher education. I feel like most of us in America are kind of forced to follow the pursuit of a higher education, but I feel like it's more strict on the Hispanic culture because, they're back then, or like the lineage or the descendants didn't pursue higher education. There's like the stigma about, how Hispanics are meant to be industrial workers or how they're not meant for other type of labor. And then we also have like, it's everything really, like the race, your sexuality, your gender, all of these things are kind of reasons why there's limits and why there's some ideas and agreements that we believe. And to be honest, that could also be signs of curses in your life. And so today I really just wanted to talk about how they end with you. I want you to think about the positive impact that you can leave behind to the next generation that's about to come. Because let me tell you, the pattern of generational curses is subconsciously, meaning that we're not aware of it, meaning that unconsciously we do these behaviors, these patterns, we portray and believe these ideas because subconsciously they are engraved in us. No one really taught us how to really find or know ourselves into that deeper level. So for this is where my first point comes in place for finding generational curses. Knowing who you are and identifying yourself with a better belief. You can't identify yourself as a failure when most of your family members has put that and reinforced that in you. You know what type of generational curse that is? Psychological. And so, what are generational curses? A belief that negative traits, behaviors, or misfortunes can be passed down through families from one generation to the next. Let's dive in deep into this. A belief. If you stay tuned to my prior episodes, a belief is a set of ideas that you believe is true to you. Whatever you believe is true to you. No one can, make it false because you believe in it. I can't disregard the fact that you believe this agreement or idea because you believe it's true. Also, with that in mind about having to be educated and breaking a belief, it is kind of difficult also to break an agreement. And so this is where I come in place where a belief also is an agreement. If you stayed also tuned with my audio podcast, I talk about break old agreements. I should have probably done that visually too. But to be honest, breaking agreements is a difficult process, especially for me. I felt like I never really hold myself I never put myself in a pedestal with a identity that didn't fit with me. I've always kind of just stayed apart from it because for me, in a way, I felt confident in what I thought I was, I never really let other people, boss me around. I never really had any person really put an idea on me when I was young. Even now, I don't let that happen because, to be honest, when I was younger, I always knew I didn't want to give away my power away. Like, I was like, if I give away my attention, then I'll make them feel good, especially since I grew up in a very toxic household. I feel like I was able to discern how I was able to, identify myself with beliefs and ideas. So I never really let my dad call me a failure. I never really let my dad call me, all these words because, to be honest, I did not resonate with that. Here's the thing. You need to stop resonating with ideas and beliefs that are not true to you. But because you want to feel empathy over that idea, you give your power to that idea. So now it's being reinforced in your head constantly. And that's what's kind of triggering the process of you trying to break a generational curse because you're already too embedded in that idea. So just thinking about how you resonate with the idea, I just need you to practice to stop giving it power. Stop giving your power, your attention to an idea that you don't resonate with, an idea that you disagree with. And so agreements are like set of beliefs, but the thing is you're able to break those really fast. Like you have to believe something else. You have to believe that you're better. You got to believe that you deserve more. You got to believe in the positive outcomes of life. You have to stop putting negative outcomes in your mind constantly because you're insecure. These agreements can be changed, and what you're not changing, you're choosing. I don't know if y'all saw that one TikToker talk about that. What you're not changing, you're choosing. And so this is where it comes to you. Choose to be the one to break the generational curse. You have to be the one in control of your life. No one's going to control your life until you start changing it, until you start evolving into these new things in life. So let's talk about the topics we're going to cover in today's podcast episode. We're going to talk about believing and breaking agreements, in which I already covered a bit in my little debrief, whatever was going on. Some conscious patterns and influence, to which I'm so excited to talk about. Unlearning what has been reinforced. Healthy habits and routines, living accordingly, and acting towards a goal. I want y'all to write down the 6 topics that we're going to talk about today. The believing and breaking agreements, some conscious patterns and influence, unlearning what has been reinforced, healthy habits and routines, living accordingly, and acting towards your goal. We have family curses. We have wealth, unhealthy relationships, mental illness, physical or biology, and sexual immorality. I know there's a lot more, but this is what I see common now. Mental illness, big one, big one, big one. I feel like I've seen this a lot play around in my family, which I don't mind sharing, but it's really sad seeing how mental illnesses have affected a lot of our family's trajectory. And not just trajectory, but how we act. We could talk a little bit more about that. Family curses. There's a lot of family curses, like separated families. There's so much more that could happen in a family that it's just so much. So my advice to you that you're young, think wisely about who's your partner. I don't know much about, finding the right one, but what I could see is I've seen broken families. I lived through a broken family. I've lived through what I've seen through my parents. And my parents, they're good parents, but together they were not a match. So my mom and dad would always argue. They would always find a way to, show up and argue. This is where I come in place, and I tell you, you need to be careful on who you want to become, And then also, who are you going to date? Or who do you want to marry? Let's put it more there. Who are you really wanting to have covenants, a family with? Because here's the thing. You can't just go assuming that that person is your soulmate. There's so much that person can bring into a bloodline that you don't know. So it's so important to understand the background of the person, because that background can also carry through. I know my mission is to break a generational curse, but I know also in other people's life, that's their mission too. But what if you're with that person and they don't agree with that, and then you're falling into the curse? That's where I come in and I'm like, hey, focus on yourself first. Focus on the roots of your insecurity. Focus on the roots of this curse, because you don't want to carry this through and also hurt another person, because you're carrying trauma, you're carrying depression, you're carrying anxiety, you're carrying addiction. Let it all go. Go find and fix yourself first, because you don't want to bring that to the next generation. You don't want to bring that to your future kids. Your future kids are going to hate you. They're going to hate you. And why am I saying this? Because I see a lot of kids, especially when I hear them. I hear the unwisest people, but their words bring, you can feel them. You can feel those words. It's like the soul is trying to speak. And they talk about, I hate my mom, I hate my dad. They do this. They argue a lot. They smoke. They drink a lot. They don't have self-control. They're not disciplined. The house is messy. There's a lot of different examples that I hear about family issues. And the least thing that you could do is bring a family issue to your kid, because those words show it just shows ungratitude. It shows that they're not grateful for their parents. And I would hate for you to be that parent where your kids are like, I hate my mom, I hate my dad. I would hate if my kids told me that. That's why I don't say that to my parents. Yes, my childhood was really rocky, and I didn't want to experience what I've experienced, but that does not leave me any room to go on and say, I hate my mom, I hate my dad. Doesn't leave me any room, because I know they tried their best. You need to try your best when it comes to trying to break an agreement, when trying to break a generational curse, because it's not easy. You're called to break the generational curse. You're meant to break it. Children pick up the behaviors of what the parents do. The children look and are developed because of you. They see you. They do what you do. So you got to be careful on how you want to be portrayed by the kid, because you don't want to have or influence your kid based on poor actions that you're doing. Do the poor actions now, but start changing them now too, while you're at it. Because you don't want to affect somebody else. And especially for me, the generational curse that I carry is broken families. Broken families. I don't want to have a broken family. I want to pursue a happy marriage. I want to pursue a happy family. I don't want to say happy, because there's no happy family out there. But I do want to say one that brings joy, peace, faithfulness, patience. I want that for my family. I want that for myself. you know? I would hate if I got a divorce. My mom went through that divorce and it hit her like rock bottom. And to be honest, I don't know how she did that. She has so much strength in her. And the fact that it was just not, my mom was not just a victim of this curse, but many other individuals in my family, because there was no really ground for fundamental idea of a right pursuit. They were in a pursuit of something that diminished a lot of what they thought they could be. So we are ready to talk about believing and breaking agreements. If you want to learn more about agreements, I would recommend the book, The Four Agreements. I love that book. I recommend it for the beginner readers that are continuing the reading journey, just because it's such a short, easy read, but also full of insights. So go ahead, read it. And if you want the link, I'll put the link in the description down below for The Four Agreements by, I think, Don Rees. Don't take my words, but I'm assuming. I know it's Rees. He has Rees in it. But anyways, continuing with the topic, subconscious pattern and influence. The power. I feel, okay, to be honest, there's so much to talk about when it comes to subconscious pattern and influence, because most curses are subconsciously and done unconsciously. So, the power of influence. People use the power of influence a lot to manipulate others. And here's a thing that comes with generational curses. And is the people that are teaching you don't see the curse. They don't know it. And they like to hide the fact that they're living in a curse. And then they also like to say, and a famous manipulative word is, I don't want you to live through what I've been through. Really? Really? That sets an agreement and an idea in which a kid pursues that idea. And that idea then becomes their motto, and that motto soon becomes their reality. What I'm saying here is they're going to live through what you lived through. And I'm not saying environmental, because we kind of forget that these curses are psychological. These are psychological effects into our growth. That's why I feel like most of us can't really take accountability over growth or our healing journeys or any of this, because we want and expect our parents to teach us how to psychologically help and find an exit out of our situations. No. It starts with you. You need to start this. You need to find who you are. This comes with having a deep relationship within yourself. This is discovering who you are. This is not about, I'm going to go deep dive into what my family has done, do some research about it, and figure out why. The more you figure out why and want a reason why something is occurring in your life, the more you're going to feel overwhelmed. The more you're stressing yourself out. We're not meant to figure things out in our life. There's some things that are better as secrets. But because we want a true answer or a fast, easy, quick answer, we hurt ourselves into finding it. I don't know if you've seen a lot of movies where like a lot of people are, I don't know if you've seen like movies or like skits or like, I don't know, some ideas, right? I don't know if you've seen them, but they're kind of like trying to be different, and they see their mom and dad as a way of not going that way or going down that path. But because of that idea that, I want to be better, they get trapped in a loophole. And say, be careful on what idea you're reinforcing constantly, because you might fall for it too. I'm telling you, action is required. It's not just manifesting that idea, I want to break it. It's about putting action. It's about putting dedication. It's about putting in commitment. I feel like that's where we kind of lose track of, because we're always constantly trying to live in an idea. Stop living into an idea and start doing. It's simple. Start doing. I don't know what curse you're going through right now, but I give you an example. My family's generational curse is broken families. So what actions am I doing? And it's pursuing a healthy lifestyle, healthy habits and routines, living accordingly, and then acting towards a goal. But before I get into these topics about how we can break it, let's talk about unlearning what has been reinforced. Unlearning. We need to unlearn behaviors. We got to unlearn patterns. We got to unlearn traditions. If one of your curses is traditions, before we start putting action, let's think about the results and the mission about this, okay? The mission behind unlearning an idea, unlearning a pattern, is by the end of the day to have a different outcome, becoming a new you, becoming somebody different. Because for you to break a generational curse, you need to become someone new. You need to become unidentifiable. You have to be able to unlearn things that identified with you. Unlearning is a process, because we're stored with knowledge. We are always learning. But then another thing about learning is unlearning what you already learned. Unlearning is a difficult process because we're comfortable already where we're at. We're comfortable already with the idea. We're already comfortable with the knowledge. We already know. And I feel like what also makes this difficult is we're like, but I already know about it. So how can I undo learning? The thing is, you can't undo knowledge. The thing is, you can undo the pattern. Stop giving yourself excuses to why you can't really commit yourself into an idea that you want to break. That's why I'm saying stop living of the idea and start doing of what you're thinking of. Manifesting won't work until you put the action. Manifest how much you want. I want a perfect family. I don't want nothing to come into my way. I want my kids to be happy. I want to be rich. I want to find a good wife. I want to find a loving husband. Do and say whatever you want. But if you're not doing anything to change the matter of the fact that is making you lose the opportunity, then you're not going to get it. You think it's an easy go? You think you deserve that? No, we got to work for it. Generational curses needs you to be prepared. You need to be prepared for it. You need to be prepared. You need to be prepared for the things that might occur. Because I'm telling you, it's war. It's war when you're trying to break it. It's war when everybody around you, around your family, is the biggest haters out there. And you're the difference. And there's a difference in your life. There's a calling. You'll mark it. But it's so difficult when they're the biggest haters. It's so difficult when they're not supporting it. Keep it personal. Don't tell people the impact you're going to make in the future. Show them the impact you're going to leave behind. Show them the lineage. Show them that your future kids are not going to be what your ancestors were going through, or what your mom or dad or grandparents. Show them, show the world that this is different. Your family is different. That's why I'm so in the pursuit of finding the right man. I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to go find my man right now. I'm like jumping places. No, what I'm saying is my eyes are so focused on the goal of me trying to become better that it's so hard for me to go look for a man and like, oh, I want him to also break the generational curse with me. No, I don't want that to be the intent to why I want to be in a relationship. I want it to be an intent where I am able to learn and be someone new, and also live in a promise that I know that my kids are going to live a better life. And I don't want to tell my kids, oh, I want you to live better than I did. No, I want them to be like, appreciate your life. I want to tell them that things happen for a reason. I don't want to just be behind and just, watch things go. I want my kids to be proud of me. And I want my kids to also acknowledge that they can be proud of themselves too. To learn how to be disciplined. There's a lot of practices that we need to do that we cannot neglect if we want to break these curses. We need to be disciplined, determined. We need to be courageous. We need to be steadfast, not giving up. We have to have grit. That's trauma right there, grit. Angela Duckworth, thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me such a hard time in my AP language class. Let's talk about healthy habits and routines. Now, I talked about this in my previous episode. I think it's episode 10 about healthy habits and routines. You should go watch that episode. It gives a pretty good overview about habits, breaking old habits, and the habit loop theory. So you can go ahead and listen to that. While we're in this episode, create a new lifestyle, eat healthy, work out. Another curse that we talked about was physical. I feel like biological curses are so hard to break, but I feel like there's ways to prevent them by eating healthy, working out, implementing a healthy lifestyle. For me, my family, something that has been running through the bloodline is cancer, and another thing, heart attacks. Addiction is another generational curse. I know later on in the future I'm gonna talk deeper about addiction. Not only because I have never experienced addiction, that's why I'm not going to talk about it, but I know a lot of individuals who do, and I really just want to get them, which season 2, I'm going to talk more about season 2 later on, but season 2 will have guests over, and we're going to talk about topics that I don't have experience, but also other people are willing to listen. So one of them is definitely addiction. But I know that with my family, they never really got addicted to drugs, but they were alcohol addicts. So definitely seeing how they were able to take care of themselves biologically, because alcohol does have like a biological effect in DNA. So what you're not changing, you're choosing. And what you're doing constantly, a repeated mistake that you continue to do, is a choice. So make sure that what you're choosing is not a mistake that you constantly do. Okay? Live accordingly, live wisely, make sure that you make wise decisions throughout this process, because you can simply lose the idea, the courage, the burning desire to go ahead and continue. But when you're not living wisely, you're taking action into becoming worse, and not just taking action to becoming worse, but following through a curse. Act like you owe it to your future. That's a big one. And then acting towards a goal. Now, to finish off this podcast episode, I feel like I did a lot of disorganized thinking here. But before we end off, I want us to analyze our goals. Acting towards a goal is important because we do need to set a frame to where we can successfully execute the goal. Having a goal isn't just having the idea, as I mentioned. You have to act through it. Are you ready to commit to it? Are you willing to commit to it? This is not just, a show where it's just like, oh, I'm going to prove my family wrong. Am I willing to really show them what I'm capable of? So think about that while we're in this space. Anyways, guys, I kind of sounded congested because I got sick again. I'm so excited to be here, especially with new equipment and a new hair, because girl was not having the blonde. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'm so beyond excited that you took some time to take some notes. If you were taking notes, thank you so much. Take a picture. Please take a picture if you did take notes. I'm acting like y'all watched this fully. If you do, give me a heart. Give me a big red heart. I want to see. I'm going to test this theory. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'm so beyond excited that, as I mentioned, took time to listen. Make sure that you give my podcast a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And also, along with that, make sure that you follow my social medias on Instagram, TikTok. I think that's all I have. I have Facebook, but it's a different ad. It's Lynn Miran. Because I forgot to put the last name as Lainez. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for listening. Make sure that you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And also, guys, help me distribute this episode with sharing it, and as well as sharing my other content on my Instagram and TikTok. Anyways, guys, love y'all. Bye.